I would like to thank Bishop Rachel for giving us the opportunity to come and talk to you today about the work that we do supporting vulnerable women at the Nelson Trust. So we're a Gloucestershire-based charity established over 30 years ago to support people to achieve long-term recovery and lasting change. In 2010, we developed our women's community services and we opened our first women's centre in Gloucester. Since that time, we have expanded to support over 500 women a year experiencing multiple vulnerabilities and inequality. Today, we would like to talk to you about the experiences of women in prison, the effects on their children and the inequality these women and their families face. This year marks 10 years since the Gould report on women with particular vulnerabilities in the criminal justice system. And this report, along with many others, conclude that prison is rarely a necessary or an appropriate response to women who get caught up in the criminal justice system. Women in prison are often victims themselves who have experienced significant trauma. Over 50% of women in prison have been abused in childhood. Over 60% have been victims of domestic abuse. The vast majority have drug and alcohol issues. As a consequence of women going to prison, over 17,000 children are separated from their mother every year. Over 80% of these women have committed a non-violent offence, and women are twice as likely as men to be sentenced to prison with no previous convictions. We know that it costs around £3,000 to support a woman effectively in the community, and it costs around £45,000 to keep a woman in prison. Last year, we were paid around £1,100 to support a woman in the community. This year, because of funding cuts, we're paid £550. It is known and accepted that the work that we do is more successful at preventing women returning to prison than prison is on its own. Yet it costs £45,000 a year to keep a woman in prison. I think there is something wrong with those numbers. I'll just say again, we're paid £550 to support a woman in the community to keep a woman out of prison, but prison is paid £45,000 to keep a woman in. The prison system is at a crisis point. Rates of self-harm have increased by over 30%. More women are committing suicide in prison. When is this going to stop? When are we going to stop contributing to this cycle of intergenerational trauma and inequality? Prison exasperates a woman's issues. Children are the hidden victims. If a mother is sentenced to over 6 months, her housing benefit will stop and she will lose the family home. Her children will be in the care of family members or the local authority. However, when she is released, she will only be eligible for single person's housing as her children aren't in her care. Then she can't get her children back because she does not have adequate accommodation. This is a terrible catch-22 situation. Bishop Rachel and the Diocese of Gloucester have been so supportive of the Nelson Trust, and they've given us the use of a house in Gloucester so that we're able to reunite mothers with their children following release from prison. The first woman is now in the house and she has been reunited with her young boys aged 4 and 7. Without that house, those children would still be in care and are likely to have been adopted. Now that is life-changing. These women are vulnerable members of our society, often experiencing significant inequality. We need to be understanding of their needs and we need to get to the bottom of why they have offended in the first place. We need to understand the specific issues they face as women, and we need to adopt a specific approach to help them turn their lives around. This approach lies in sending less women to prison, improving access to women's centres to enable women to get the help they need. Today, we are talking about equality, and we often think of treating people the same. Can I just say that treating people equally does not always mean treating people the same, and I am calling for a gendered response to divert women away from the criminal justice system, to break the intergenerational cycle of reoffending, trauma and abuse. Thank you, Bishop Rachel, for your continued support and for the opportunity to speak to you all today. Thank you. Thank you.